Ah, Episode 13. Today we're going to talk about the cost that goes into creating videos. Hello everybody watching this, happy Wednesday, and today we're going to be talking about what goes into video production. So everybody really knows how powerful video is. Everybody produces videos all over social media. YouTube is huge and that's all video. So a lot of people are going into video, or wanting to get video, but then they're like, oh wow, this is a lot more expensive than I thought. A lot of people just think that we're running in with a camera, just taking random pictures, random videos, and then kind of splicing it all together. That's not necessarily what happens, so I'm going to explain what all goes into it so you can have a more better understanding of what you're getting into and how it all works. So let's go. So if you didn't know, video production has three main areas of focus. There's pre-production, which is before you start shooting. There's production, which is actually shooting. And then there's post-production, which is mostly all the editing and distribution, almost kind of. So right now we're going to go into pre-production. So pre-production has a lot of planning, a lot of scheduling, a lot of storyboarding. It's not necessarily just like, oh hey, let's shoot Monday, and then we'll show up Monday. There's a lot of different stuff you have to think about what equipment you're going to use, making sure all the people who are going to be working on this video are there at the time they need to be. You have to think about, again, scripting, actually creating the story, and depending on how big you go, if you're doing a huge commercial per se, there's a lot more people involved and a lot more just planning in general. And that takes a lot of man hours, it takes a lot of time and a lot of work. So, if you're hiring people to write your script, you have to pay them. If you're hiring people to organize everything, schedule everything, get the equipment rentals, all that stuff, you're going to have to pay them. And even at the bare bones, you still have one videographer working a decent amount of hours trying to make sure your video and your production goes as smooth as possible so you have the best video you can to give to your clients or give to your followers on your social media. So a lot goes into pre-production. A lot of people don't see it, but a lot goes into it to make sure the post-production and production goes smoothly. So after pre-production, obviously you planned everything, now you have to go and shoot it. So that's kind of the fun part. There's two main things that go into this. There's the actual manpower to create the video and all the actual shooting and the crew and the actors and all that. And then there's also all the equipment and all that stuff that you have to worry about. So one thing I would like to say about the crew and the people producing your video is that a lot of people think, again, there's a misconception that you just arrive with a camera, you randomly point, you randomly shoot someone, and then you slap it together. Not necessarily that's not it. I would like to compare this to a really good painter or a really good drawer or a musician, and you look at them and you're like, how do they do that? That is incredible. And it's amazing, right? But camera work is the same thing. Photography and videography is a craft that you really have to put a lot of practice into, a lot of time into. So you're helping get those, when you pay to get your video done, you're paying experts, and they're coming in and they're doing what they do best for you to make sure you look amazing. Along with that, video work is interesting because sometimes you have to have a certain time of day. You have to get a lot of people involved and schedule it all together. So it might be during weekends, it might be during nights, it might be over 12-hour days. I've had multiple days that are upwards of 15 to 16 hours, and sometimes you only get one meal, if any. It's very harsh sometimes, but you have to get what you want, and they put a lot of passion into the videos and the content they're creating for you. So that's kind of all the work that goes into, and there's a ton more underneath the scenes. So that's why sometimes it seems like it can get a little bit pricey. Along with that, you need the best quality you can get. You want to make sure that what you're putting out there for your followers is great, and sometimes that means getting the equipment necessary to do that. A good quality camera can range anywhere from $1,000 upwards up to $100,000. That's why like Nike commercials and all those commercials you see on the Super Bowl, sometimes are multi-million-dollar projects. So the lights cost money, the stabilization, the cameras, the good audio quality, all of these different things come into play. And if you want your video to be the best that it can be, sometimes you have to throw that cash at it and get the good equipment. So that's really what you're getting into when it comes to production. Equipment costs a decent amount depending on what kind of video you're shooting. Crew costs a lot, and even if you're just shooting for one videographer, right, there's only one person coming, you still got them planning a lot, you still got them shooting everything, and they're doing their craft. They know what to shoot, they know how to get the best audio quality, they know how to get the best light, make you look the best, and make your company look the best. So that's what you're paying for production. So let's go into post-production. So now you have a whole day of shooting. You have tons of clips. You have hundreds of clips. So what do you do with them? Well, first you have to edit them. Hey, Jake. You have all these different clips. You have hundreds of clips. You have to put them together. So you have to edit it. So editing takes a lot of time, and you also have to think the editing software costs money. You have to have a fast enough computer. You have to know how to work with computers to get the footage you need together, because it takes a lot of computing power. And along with that, editing is another art form in itself. So you really have to learn how to do that fast and do it correctly to be able to tell your story effectively. So that's another craft that the people are going to have to learn to do, and if you're hiring an expert, they already know how to do it, so they're going to make you and your company look the best, and they're going to do it fast and effectively. Along with that, you're also getting music. A lot of people like to have music underneath their video, or to be their central point of the video, so you can see the clips with, you know, an entertaining song. All that comes from artists, again, who really put their time into it, and some of that costs money to get the licensing to be able to put in your video legally. Obviously, we don't want any copyright issues. So you have to think about the music, you have to think about the editing, the color correction. You also have to think about storage. A lot of people don't realize how big video files are. Some of these, we're shooting interviews, and the interview video itself, only that part, none of the other shots, are over 20 gigabytes big. Like, that's a pretty big file. So you have to think about archiving all that, because we keep all the footage of our clients so that we always have it just in case something happens, and most people do that too. So a lot of that takes up a lot of storage, so we need to constantly get more and more storage to make sure we can safely keep all the footage we got. And lastly, about post-production is you also have to remember, again, manpower. Sometimes you only have one editor, but he's working tirelessly days and nights to get your video done on time. There's also colorists, there's also sound engineers, making sure everything sounds correct. There's a lot of people that are in play on post-production also, along with scheduling and planning, making sure the whole team works together. So there's a lot of manpower, there's a lot of computing power, there's a lot of, you know, sound and other assets and things being put into video, animation possibly. So it all costs some money, and that's why sometimes a simple video seems to cost a lot, but it's not necessarily simple. So yeah. Video production in a nutshell. We went through it really bare bones. There's a lot more that goes into it, but I wanted to keep this short and simple so you have a little bit better understanding of what all goes into even the simplest video upwards up to the giant Hollywood movies or Nike commercials. So I hope you learned from this, and if you have any questions, comment them down below. We'll love to answer them, or you can call up J29 and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And don't forget to subscribe and follow and like. See you next time.